Mm. Hello, hello. Happy Saturday. Going live. Talk about lining your dogs up with your lifestyle. Waiting for Shane to join up here. How's everyone's day going? Is this like not connecting, Shane? Yep.
Yep. Can you hear me all right there?
Yep. Got your mic on?
Yeah. I think it's on.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get
Shall
it
we?
going. I'll let you start.
All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another live on Saturday with Kinder Dog PDX. Myself, dog trainer Shane. Um, yeah. Today's is how to line your life with your dog. All right. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of get started with my little topic here and stuff. And so, like, when we have our dogs here, it's like we want them to align with us, right? I think the same thing goes even with kids. And so it's like if you are having to be aligning to your dog, that's going to make life be very stressful for you, right? Your dog wakes you up at 5 a.m. Your dog barks at you to feed them. Your dog demands when you take them out. Your dog demands when you play with them. And when you repeat that cycle throughout the day, that's going to create a lot of stress for you because really things become unpredictable for you. And then when you're trying to do your things, your dog's trying to do something else, right? And so that is a backwards dynamic with the dog. And just, that's not going to work for most people's lifestyles. And you really need to work on changing that concept, right? And it's not to say that you should never do what your dog wants, but how to go about doing those things, I think, is very different, right? So it's like, how do you go about getting those activities? How do you implement those activities in your day to day rather than the dog telling you when it's time to do X, Y, and Z? You need to be able to be proactive and show your dog, hey, this is what we're doing now. And that's obviously just not going to happen just in one day, but it's how you work it into your lifestyle. Okay. Um, Things that can create a challenge for that is, mixed. What's the word I'm looking for? Mismatch. Mismatching dogs and owners, right? People can go get a dog based on looks. They don't think about what the dog actually needs and what they're able to provide, right? Someone gets a husky and they don't do anything. They like to hang out at home and just watch TV and chill out, go out on Saturday night. You know what I mean? And now it's like you got this dog that demands a lot of you and you don't do much.
Or they think like a walk is just enough.
Or they think the walk is
Because they're
just
going
enough.
to walk the dog. Like
Yeah,
everyone's just going to walk the dog.
walk the dog, Or let's say you get like a hound dog. And again, you just sit at home and don't do anything all day. Like, I'm just going to go take him on a walk. It's like that is not going to be enough for that dog. The dog is going to become just frustrated with life. They're, you know what I mean? And it's like you're going to start to see all these problematic behaviors build up. And then it's going to evolve and get worse over time. Right? I mean, how many, it's like, we've seen this so many times. People they go rescue a dog, they adopt a dog, and it's like these places are also just so they need the space, so they're willing to just, oh, you're interested? Great, here you go, and they hand these dogs off, and it's like, this is not the appropriate. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that, but I also think like, you know, yeah, I mean, I think lifestyle stuff does play a factor, but also at the same time, I think people need more, or, people who are adopting dogs, like more just education on like what they can do with their dog to give them the outlets that they need, because there's always this misconception that, oh, I have like, a husky, for example, or something, and I need to have a yard, or like this misconception that like I need a big yard so my dog can go run around in them, you know, and it's like you don't actually need a yard, you know. It's sure the yard could be helpful, but like you should be training in that backyard, not just like letting your dog run around. You know what I mean? So it seems like while you need to be, I think you do need to be mindful, right? Because if you get a dog who's like high energy, and needs you to like do stuff with them like multiple times a day, you know, not saying like going on 2 hour walks, but like got to do shit throughout the day. Like someone who's at work 10 hours a day, it might not be the best fit, you know. But even then, like with that being said, like this always goes back to like training, crate training, playing with your dog, doing training so that you could like give your dog approximate outlets for those like long line work at the park. You're going out for an hour and a half anyways, like walk to the park, put your dog on a long line and let them run around, you're practicing your recalls. Like there's no reason why your husky couldn't live in a 1 bedroom apartment as long as you are, I mean, that would be granted, like I live close to a park, so I can like go do that stuff. Or, even just me and you in a board and train situation, we're putting dogs on a long line or on a flexi in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like not even near a park, on freaking 48th and Division. The nearest park is, several blocks away. Maybe that's too far for some people, but like letting, it's just training, right?
So like with, so it's like, all right, let's go back. I want to take like a couple steps back, right? So let's say, yeah, some people, they work their 8 hour day, they got to commute to work. That's 30, 40 minutes, especially in rush hour traffic, be up to an hour. And so they could be gone 10 hours a day, and they get this dog that's a high energy dog. And it's like, yeah, they may spend the, hour and a half with the dog in the morning to get them ready to go. But it's like, that's every day that dog is like chilling for 10 hours with nothing to do. Like that's a long time.
Yeah, that is
a long time to be for like, so again, it's like you need to be able to provide the outlets that the dog needs, right? So again, it's like, if you get this type of dog, what is that going to require? You're probably going to need to have someone come out and take that dog out.
Yeah.
Like in the reality of things, you're probably going to get someone to come and take that dog out.
Unless you get good crate training.
You get good crate training, but again, it's like, dude, that dog is chilling for 10 hours doing nothing. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's a long time to do that, for like to just do nothing every single day, 5 days a week to do nothing for 10 hours a day. When it's like their exercise was an hour and a half long, and it's like, again, like, and then to be able to do that for those like the many years that it will be doing for that, it's like life happens, man. You could twist your ankle, twist your knee, need surgery. Now it's like, shit, I can't fucking move. What do I do with this dog now? That's fucking going crazy because they're not getting out, and I'm hobbling around on crutches.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, dude, that is a long time for the dog to just be chilling. And so it's like, that brings into other things, right? It's like, do you have a friend that can come and take your dog out? you have someone that could like provide these things for your dog while you're out gone for that period of time, even if it's just to go potty or stretch your legs for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like the, that requires having someone available to do it, or the financial ability to pay someone to go and do that. And again, it's just like, this goes back to this question, right? It's like, is this a mismatched, I can't even say that word right.
Mismatched.
A mismatch, like, connection between these people. So it's like, if I work 10 hours a day, dude, like, to me, that's probably a sign that I probably shouldn't have a dog. Because in reality, you just got home for 10 hours. Like, do you want to go out there for another hour and a half with your dog? What do you got, family and kids? It's like, dog's probably not the right choice for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's, a random 10-hour day here and there is one thing.
That's one thing. But at the consistent, that's what it's like. And I mean, because that makes it hard for the dog. And then you have to trust other people with your dog to implement the stuff that you want your dog to be doing in your lifestyle, right? To be them to be doing that. Because again, we all know what your dog practices is what they do.
Yeah, and if other people aren't doing that behavior, aren't backing you up, then you're just going to be constantly struggling. If you are struggling with like behavior issues, or they could be inadvertently creating behavioral issues because they don't understand, what to look for, or something like that.
So I'm just going to pause for like 1 second here. So we're on this topic here right now, and if this is something that you're like, oh man, this is touching a button with me, right? It's like you can connect with this, right? You can understand what's going on. So like if you have questions about this, or you want some help with this, there's a link in the bio on the Kindred Dog page to book a call. This would be a great time to click that button and schedule a call to chat, because we can go through and help you out to find balance with this. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, if you already have the dog, we got to work with you on, okay, so how do we go about providing what this dog needs? And like Shane was saying, it might mean that you have to get up earlier.
Yeah.
It might mean that, yes, even if you did work 10 hours, you got to get your dog out. You got to go out for another hour after you get off work, because your dog has just been chilling,
Exactly.
Like, you got to do that. And if it means I got to cook dinner beforehand, or, you left, it's like, it's a very teamwork sort of situation, and doesn't matter if you're hungover from the night before of out partying, like, you got to get your dog out, and got to get him out. That's what they need.
So I think this kind of goes into this now, right? So I think this next little piece here is like, how do you fix that the mismatched owner and dog, right? So it's like, someone has this dog, and it's like, obviously, you have a dog, like, you love your dog. Even if it caused you a headache, people still love their dogs, right? And it's like I don't think people go into the idea of like, oh yeah, I mean, we get emails like this quite often. It's like, oh, you know what? It's like, I got to rehome my dog. Can you help me do it? And it's like, it's just not that easy, right? But not everyone's going to jumps into like looking to rehome their dog. They're like, what can I do to help resolve this issue, right? How to make this less difficult? And so how do you fix the mismatch routine? Like, I don't know why that's such a tongue twister for me. Like, I want to say mixed match. Mismatch. But how do you fix that, right? And you were just touching on this. It's like, yeah, it's going to require getting up earlier, maybe staying out later, like doing these things, going the extra mile for your dog. And now, so from personal experience, we've chatted about this a lot. It was like, we had to do that. We were not making smart decisions by getting dogs while we were still in school and having to go to work, and it was like, okay, but what did we do with these dogs? It was like, wake up 6 a.m., First thing the dogs do, go out potty, and then they hop on a treadmill. And they're running on a treadmill for a little bit. And during that time, making an egg sandwich, having some coffee, sitting out there in the garage while the dogs are on the treadmills, eating breakfast.
20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes running on the treadmill.
Running on the treadmill. All right, they get done, go back out, another potty, come back in, and it's like, guess what? We're going outside now. And then walk to the park. 30-minute walk to the park.
Yep.
Pop the ball, play around, do some stuff, come back in. And again, 30-minute walk back. And it's like, by the time all that was done, the dogs were dusted. You know? And then it's like, okay, here you go. Gonna give you some breakfast, go potty again, and then into the crate.
Yep.
Right? And they had to be in the crate 8-9 hours because everyone in the house was gone. You know? And then it's like, all right, you know, I mean, one thing that was helpful for us is like, you know, there was multiple people in the house, you know, and so it was like, okay, if someone's going to be out longer because they got to go to work right afterwards, it's like someone else can get the dog out to go potty, whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, take him out on a walk, you know, but it was also, you get home from school, guess what? Dog's going on another walk because they've just been sitting in the crate for 8-9 hours. And that was, again, let's go back out, you know, 30 minutes out to the park, let you run around at the park, play ball, you know. And at the same time, let's talk about this little aspect here. Go into the park. What did that look like? It wasn't just like, hey, unclip the leash, you stand still, the dog runs around and just does their own thing. It's like, no. You're making that be interactive, right? Where it's like, I'm wandering the park.
Yep, so we would walk laps.
You'd follow me around, right? Even they may not be walking with me in a heel, but it's like, they're sniffing over here. I get 30, 40, 50, 60 feet away. Here comes the dog. What you doing? They might run past me. They start sniffing something else. But we're never just like disconnected doing two completely different things. Like there is just this connection, so to speak, where it's like, hey, you're getting kind of far. Let me catch up to you. Hey, you're getting kind of far. Let me catch up to you. You're getting kind of far. Catching up to you. Mm-hmm. You know, but you're always just like, there's always just this connection between you and the dog as you're going through these activities, you know? And so it was like, again, it wasn't just like mindless. You know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, maybe you play the ball, maybe you don't. But then now you go back and walk that 30-minute walk back to the house. And then it's like, okay, now it's time to get dinner going. Here's your food. I'm going to make my food, eat, and then you're good to go chill out for the rest of the day. But, you know, it was like, that took effort, a lot of effort, but especially do that like every single day, you know.
2 hours early in the morning to leave for school at like 9 a.m., you know, because we rode our bikes. You know, so we'd have to leave at 8:30 to ride our bikes to school to get there on time. So, you know, we're getting up at 6 to do stuff with the dogs and then come home, spend another hour out with them, and then we're you know, chilling for the rest of the night.
Yeah, and I remember when like sometimes classes would change. You know, you get your schedule and it's like, okay, shit, I got the fucking 8 a.m. class now.
Yeah.
Right? Now your time that you have out with the dog has just been cut down by like an hour. So it's like, what do you do then? It's like, oh, guess what? We're hopping on the bike and we're riding to the park. You're gonna be running there. Then we can walk around the park, and then we're riding back. You know, it was like, you know, you throw these little audible matches because it wasn't like you would go there every day at 8 a.m. But, you know, it was like, all right, Tuesday, Thursday class, I got 8 a.m. now. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, now we're doing this, you know. But then again, you know, maybe like on Fridays you would have like one class or two classes. So now you're done by noon.
And then, you know, so I think this also fits into so like back in that time frame, we didn't really know much about dog training. The stuff that we had heard was like, you got to exercise the dog. So we were getting up earlier because it was like, we're running them, you know, we're walking to the park, they're running at the park, they're doing all these things. And like, there's absolutely benefit to that. Now though, after training dogs for 12 years and like learning some things, we can actually train smarter and not harder. You know, it's like, you know, 2 hours is a long time, you know, but there are things that I know now, and I'm sure you do too as well, Shane, where, you could maximize that hour to be like a 2 hour outing, where food games, the get it, right? You're like, get it, boom, dog runs out, and if they're on a long line and, you got a nice high food drive and they know this game, it's like they can get it, boom, run out 30 feet. And then you're like, yes, come back. And then they run back to you 30 feet. Like that game in itself for 15 minutes is going to be enormous. Playing with your dog, we never like, we would play tug with the dogs, but we didn't really like play tug.
Like, dude, I would throw fetch, dude. I would throw the ball with Zuma, but I remember I'd be standing at the top of the hill.
Yeah, and he'd run down the
Toss the
hill.
ball, he'd run down, have to run back up. Toss the ball, run down, run back up.
Yeah. And it's like, now I'm like, oh, he could have been like tugging on something and like, or tugging on a ball on a string, like do the throw and then do some competitive, so he's like using different parts of his body.
Oh yeah.
And like now it's like, oh, you only got an hour, cool, we can actually teach you how to maximize that hour to get like a 2 hour outing out of your dog, but it goes back to like, you got to educate yourself. You can't just like, and again, like we see this all the time, like people will walk their dogs multiple times a day, an hour each time, half an hour each time, and their dog is still a psycho.
Well, that's
the
it,
walk
right?
Isn't sufficient enough.
The
like,
walk
yes,
isn't enough.
it's an activity, but it's not the thing to go exercise your dog. Like walking walking is exercise, but your dog is an athlete. Just by their being they are athletic animals. And and it's like, I've talked about this with other clients, and maybe for you too, Shane, but it's like, for me, physical activity is like jujitsu, bike riding, dancing. It's like, if I was not in shape, walking could be enough at first, and then eventually I'm going to build up stamina, and I'm going to get in better shape, and then I'm going to ultimately just be like, oh, my body requires more now to feel satiated with that, and so it's like I work out, we do these other activities, and that's how I'm like, okay, cool, now I'm tired. But if I was just like, even then, like if I was walking, I'd have to be walking for a long freaking time.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I would agree. It makes me kind of just think about, like, when you first start jiu-jitsu and you're like, wow, you're the white belt. And you're like, you come out of every class and you're like so exhausted and you're completely sore, but it's like, 10 years of jiu-jitsu, and now it's just like, no, I just go to class and I'm done. And I'm like, yeah, I got like 2 rolls in, and it's like, I feel no different than when I really got into class.
Yeah. It's like, I feel tired, but I'm not like,
no,
oh my God,
it's the day where it's like I spend like 90 minutes doing like nothing but rolls. Now it's like, yeah, now I feel tired, but it's like, you just, again, like you're saying, it's just like, yeah, in the very beginning, that's, 1 hour class with like 2 rolls of like 3 minutes a round, 5 minutes each round. It's like, yeah, that kills you. But then it's like, as you get better and you use you're more efficient with what you're doing, it's like, that's just, you require more. But then the same thing can go with your dog though too, right? So if they're new to like any kind of activity, it's like they're going to be tired quicker, and as they get better, they're going to build more stamina.
Yeah.
So like dogs, yeah, right? They are natural athletes, and as you incorporate, this is, I think, where it kind of gets a little bit tricky, right? So when you start doing all of these things with their dog, it's like, yeah, they start requiring a bit more, right? But this is also where it's like, you need to be able to work their mind along with the body, right? Because it's like, yes, they are going to be getting better, but it's like, if you can be like challenging their brain, they're going to become more exhausted. And so, like, if we go back to this idea with like, thinking about jiu-jitsu, right? It's like, yeah, I will be tired, but like not tired, but I'm going to be very content. And I may have just done a lot of drilling and got 1 round in. Maybe I didn't get any sparring in, but I had to think during the drilling rounds. And it's just like, what that does for you and how you feel is like, okay, You know, so it's like, again, it's like when you go out and play with your dog and like you go like, all right, you know, this is I got to get to work early today. I don't have much time. What am I going to do? I'm probably going to toss you on the retractable leash. We're going to go outside. And you're not just going to be like sniffing around aimlessly, but it's like, yeah, you're going to be out sniffing around. Then I'm going to be like, hey, bring you in, call a recall, have you sit with me for a second. If you can walk with the heel, walk with the heel for a little bit. Give them a minute of walking with that structured heel. Hold them accountable for it. And then, boom, give them the release. Okay. Right? Get them to be able to move physically, but also to get them to think mentally. And that's just going to be do so much. And then you go to the park and you go 5 minutes of tug before you have to head back.
Yeah.
You know,
I
or you
mean,
get home and do 5 minutes of tug out back or inside the house or whatnot. But again, your game of tug has rules in it. And so it's just
which
like,
triggers the brain.
exactly. Get your dog to be thinking while they're doing some sort of physical activity. It's going to be so much more beneficial. And so it's like if you are, you know, you have a long work day, it's like how can you best utilize that time where it's also not, you know, especially if it's like a family, you know, and they have kids and stuff. It's like that's going to require a lot of time. And, you know, just with family stuff. And so it's like to mix your dog into there, it's just like you probably don't have 2 hours to do that.
No.
No, but you could probably dedicate a good 30, 40 minutes. And if you're only going for that shitty ass walk, it's like, no, how can we improve that walk? Right?
What I would be doing is, and I've had a few clients do this, is get your dog tugging, set up a spring pole, and then go out into the backyard and let your dog tug on a spring pole for 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
call them off of it every once in a while. You know, here, out, here, good, sit, get it. You know, boom, they go back out, they tug on it. And like 15 minutes of that, dog's gonna be dusted.
Yep. Yep.
But so many dogs just don't have that ability, you know, because no one's spending time developing those skills, you know, and um, ultimately it's like you do got to spend some time to teach those skills, and that is going to require more effort. But then it's like once those skills are in place, it's like life gets so much easier, you know?
You know, I think one thing that also kind of chimes in with this stuff though is like so like what so outside of these like active parts of things, right? It's like does your dog know how to do nothing? Can they be cool with doing nothing? Do you know what I mean? And it's like I think that is something that really comes into play as well. And so it's like the so it's like you're home on the weekends, right? What do you practice? Right? Is the dog constantly moving around doing all this kind of stuff? That's gonna make chilling while you're at work during the week harder. Right? Or the time when you get home and you've done all your activity all over again with the dog and it's just like, yeah, they're just constantly going. It's like so if they don't know how to like chill, ultimately life's gonna be more difficult. And so teaching the dog to do nothing is also gonna be a valuable skill that's gonna help them do nothing when there's nothing to do and you're gone at work. You know what I mean? And so it's like that is, so to give a story with this, I remember like with Polga, she's high, she's old now, right? She's 12. But when she was younger, it was like she needed to be doing stuff. Like she had a lot of energy, and it's like she knew how to chill, but she also needed to work, right? Like we did a lot of play, we did a lot of walking, we did a lot of stuff together, but we'd also do a lot of chilling. And I remember I took a dog bite to the foot. Remember that?
Yep.
And when I took that dog bite to the foot, my foot swelled up. I couldn't walk. I was out of commission for like 4 weeks. And Polka had to do an exponential amount of chilling, like unreal amount of just like chilling. And but she was okay with that. She wasn't like a headache. Like she knew it was just like, oh, okay, But we had years of practice when we got to this point, to where it was like, okay, I'm okay with this. Obviously
she was like meditating the whole time.
Yeah, and then when I was able to get her back out, it was like, okay, cool, sweet, this is what we're doing. But it was like all of this lifestyle stuff built up to this moment to where it was like, oh yeah, this was really like a non-issue. I mean, even when I had to have knee surgery, like I'm not out there to go be able to go walk a whole bunch. So it's like, again, how can I best maximize my time with her? Oh, that was like playing ball, toss the ball, out. You know, wait, okay, get it. Out, go place. Okay, go out and back and get it again. Like mixing in things to get her thinking about other than stuff and just chasing the ball. It was, again, how to work the brain with it. And so this all just comes down. It's just like, it's like, how can you best utilize your time, and then also like use the skills that your dog has to help make that time that you have with your dog a lot better, right?
Yeah.
Training's going to amplify that stuff so much more, and it doesn't have to be like intensive obedience and stuff. It's like the stuff that you can teach with a game of, like, a simple out. You play fetch with your dog, and you throw the ball and they go grab it, and then they're mid-return, you go out, and they spit the ball out, and they're like, what next? You're like, get it. You know what I mean? And then they get the ball back, and then they bring it back to you. Like, just random little things can be beneficial.
Yeah. But you got to teach those things. You got to spend some time
teach those things. It's where training comes into play.
Skills, and it's just, we say it all the time, you can't just walk your dog.
No.
Like, you just can't just walk your dog. It's not enough. So I'm going to pause right here for a second. We got some viewers. Just want to see if anybody has any questions about anything. Anything popping up for you? Does this sound like you and your dog? Did you accidentally get a Ferrari? I was just thinking about, like, something that's always popping up to, like, how do I, like, getting online and being like, how do I live with this dog, trying to get tips and stuff like that. And I think tips are great, obviously. But it's like the implementation of those tips, they are very generic. Yes, you can watch a video teaching your dog how to play tug or whatever, but for average dog owners, it can be like, well, how do I fit this into my day? When do I do this? How do I do this? Like, I'm already walking the dog for 45 minutes. Does that mean I need to play tug with him for an extra 15 minutes? And now I have an hour to spend with him, and I don't have an hour. I only have that 45 minutes, So like the implementing of it can be challenging. And so I think working with someone can help clear that up.
Yeah.
Because then you can actually look at what your day looks like, and someone can actually help you figure out, like, oh, here's actually where you can fit that in.
Yeah. Well, so it's like, you just mentioned this, like, so you can watch a video on how to play tug, but it's like every dog is different. Do you know what I mean? Some dogs don't know how to play tug.
Yeah.
They know how to hold on to the toy for a second, but the minute they kind of start to pull, they're like, oh, wait, what? Let me spit this out. This is weird. Can I do that? You know what I mean? And so it's like, again, this is where having eyes on your dog to help you, like, build this thing up, right? I mean, how many times we hear people, my dog doesn't want to play. He doesn't bring the ball back. He doesn't want to play the tug. He's not interested. And it's like your dog is interested. You just got to show them that this is interesting. And it's like, because these are natural drives of the dog, regardless. Like, it's like you need to show them, like, what's possible. Like, I mean, we had dogs come in for board and train stuff, and they didn't know how to play tug. They'd bite the toy and immediately let go. But then it's like you go through and you teach them out. Biting this thing is great. And actually, when you hold on to it, it's even better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like you make them want to hold on to it by just, like, showing them this game, and they're like, wow, I want to keep playing that game. And so it's like having the outside eyes actually show you that that pertains to your particular situation. Like, that's where like actually having someone watch, like, to get their eyes, a trainer, hiring somebody to make it a unique perspective for you, right? Because again, like you're just saying, the tips online, all of those things are very general, very, very general. And
And they're
it's
not
like,
going to show you how to implement this stuff in your busy, demanding life. I've got kids, I've got, these other responsibilities. I don't know how to implement this, or you can watch them and it just feels like a mountain to climb. And, and then obviously the dog ends up just like, I don't want to say get on the back burner, but it's just like, we're just going to keep doing what we know, which is get him out on a walk.
yeah,
and he's pulling, and the walk sucks.
yeah. So, like with that, it's like if you're hearing this and this is like, oh shit, man, this is like my dog. This is like my situation, right? This is where you click that button on the top of the link on Kindred Dog PDX page and schedule a call. Um, this is like how you can work through these things to make life easier for you so your dog can fit into your day to day, right? And you're not struggling and you're not having to like try to work, fit into the dog's day to day. It's like you
Yeah.
can make it work, right? You can make it work. And so click the button up at the top to schedule a call, and we can come up with a game plan for you to help make that possible. You know,
Yes.
um, so when I think about, so outside of this building up, so what do we talk about here? We had what the mismatch is, right? What happens, like, how do you fix that? And then the kind of strategies of things that you can be doing, right, to best utilize your time to really make this work for you. So obviously, we talked about how training can help with all of these kind of things as well. Now, one of the things that it's like I want to just kind of touch on as well is like the time frame that what you have. So another again a story with Polga. Like when I got her, like my lifestyle was just like it was I did a lot of things, and I was when I first got her I was just like I'd go out every night, and like but it was like I had to teach in the morning, but I was going out in the evening, but during all of these kind of times I'd always make time for her, and it was hard, right? But it was like this mindset thing that I had of like the responsibility of the dog. And so it was like, I remember I would go out and then I would wake up in the morning to get the dog out to go potty. We'd go back inside. I'd fill up, food pouch. Maybe I had some coffee, and then we would head out and we would go train. Okay, that was kind of like the weekend. But then here comes Monday. Monday, I'd wake up early because I had teach class. I remember I was doing lessons at 5 a.m. because I was teaching students in China, and so I would do a class, like 2 classes. Then I get done, and then we would go out. We would train for a few hours, and then we would come back in, and I would teach a few more classes, and then we'd go back out. And now it's like our late afternoon, early evening. We would do more training, and then get done doing all the work stuff. All right, and then now I'm hanging out with my friends, going out, stay out late, come back out 1 a.m., sleep for 4 hours, and then rinse and repeat this whole stupid cycle I was doing every single day, like until I stopped doing the 5 a.m. class, and it was like, all right, now I do this at 8 a.m. But it was like this really obnoxious, like how I was doing, but I always made sure to have time to dedicate to the dog, just in what I was doing. And one of the things that I remember doing with her was like getting really creative with the training inside the house and stuff, right? So it's like living in Mexico at that time. It's like, sometimes it's super hot outside. You're not going to get out. So it's like, what kind of things can you be doing? And I remember blocking doorways and like doing recalls where the dog had to jump over the stuff to get to me through the doorways. Blind recalls, and the dog's then having to like, practice some agility things of jumping up stuff, having her place on like, take a seat on the stairs, just ridiculously kind of like simple things, but that would just got her practicing stuff and got her moving, and also they weren't just like the everyday kind of motions. Do you know what I mean? Where
You're
it's like
challenging her.
exactly challenging her, and just and so doing all of those things, and as like I actually started to like make better choices with my life, it was like what she was able to do was just like amplified unknowingly, right? But it was because it was just like me trying to best utilize the time I've had of training with her. And again, like I worked from home, so it was easier for me to do those kind of things. Just yeah, I got an hour between classes, so I'm going to dedicate 30 minutes to training the dog. I got 2 hours. Guess what? We're going to go out for our walk to the park that was 40 minutes away. But we can walk to the park, play, walk back in under 2 hours. And I got to go teach my class.
Yeah.
But it was, and again, it was just like I got obsessed with training, so it was just like, any time of the day that I was able to train, I was like, we're training. We're training.
Yeah. Well, you kind of bring up a good point of like working from home, I mean, a lot of people work from home now,
They do.
and a lot of people will have breaks just randomly throughout the day, and I'm sure other people feel this way because I used to feel this way that like, in my mind, it was like, if I'm going to take my dog out on a walk, it's going to be for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And like, if I had a break in between, like, let's say I had I was like doing homework or, whatever. I was like, I had a break that was only like 20 minutes long, or I had a break that was 30 minutes long, it wouldn't even occur to me to like take my dog out because I was like, oh, well, I don't have 45 minutes, I can't dedicate the full 30. So what's even the point,
Yeah.
of going out? And I remember, I think it was when I was at an apprenticeship. Um, they said, if you even have 1 minute, go do a minute, go take your dog outside, put him on a leash and walk around for a minute, do some walking drills for a minute. It's better than no minutes, and I think this just again goes back to utilizing the time that you have more efficiently, and so if you've got a break, you've got a meeting that goes until 10:30, and then you have another meeting that starts at 11. Get your dog's favorite toy, ready them up, play with them for 5 minutes,
Yep.
and then put them away again. You know, that's gonna do more for your dog. But it goes back to just what we repeat ourselves all the time is you have to train your dog to have that stuff be readily accessible. And in the context of play, and we talked about this on another live, it's, dogs don't know how to play because they don't know how to play with their owners. They're given free access to the toys, so the dog can just chew. Their dog can just chew on it whenever it wants to. And then when they're, hey, hey Rex, you ready? You want to play? And Rex is like, nah, I
I've
just
been
got done
playing for the
chewing.
past like 5 hours.
I just got done chewing on Mr. Crow. Like, I don't need that now. So by compartmentalizing that stuff, you can be, hey, Rex, you ready? And he's like, yeah, I'm ready. And now I can play with you, drain more of your energy. So now my next meeting is going to be even more chill.
Well, so I wanted to bring in like another topic, just like, like again, like when I would be working with Polka, so when I first got her, I had to teach, right? So she had to go in the crate. But through this time, we were actually like building up other skill sets, right? Working on place. I would, have her leash on her, and I would just step on the leash, and she'd be sitting underneath my table. She'd just like lay down. I'd have like a bone, I'd give her down when I'm teaching class, and there she is right below me, chewing on a bone, and like the more your dog gets better at the training, the more they can stay out, right? Because even then, when you go, hey, I need you to go lay down in your bed, right? Go to place. I need you to hang out there while I do my class. Like, that's them. They're working, and it's like that can also be very challenging for the dog. But it's like, being farther away is going to be, you got to work up to that. So you might be right next to you. And if you have the ability to address the dog, it's like, practice that training, because then again, it's like the dog doesn't have to go into the crate. They could hang out with you with a job to do. And so the more you practice these kind of things, it's like the more, it's like, because that can also wear the dog out. Obviously, they'll get better at it, and it becomes less challenging. And so now it's like, yeah, that becomes not of an issue. But now it's like they're used to just like, we're not doing anything. I can chill out now. And it's like, again, that just makes it easier, right? They're not just like, waiting and waiting and waiting for the next thing to happen. It's like, no, yeah, I'm good with just chilling. And so it's like practicing these other skills that can help make life easier for you, even when it's like, yeah, you are working. But it's like, I can have you be here. You can be on place over there while I'm working. And I remember that was something that I was really wanting to work towards when I worked, having to teach online and stuff. Like, hey, yeah, I got you. And it's like, you're sitting underneath the table at first. I have my foot on the leash, and then you're progressing to be on the cot next to me. Now you're on the cot over there, and I was able to up the challenge for it. But I had to be in a position to be able to, address the dog if I couldn't. Right. And so for me, obviously I couldn't just interrupt the class, be like, hold on, let me get my dog here. It was like, I had to do it when I knew I could do it. And when I knew I could do it, then it was just like, all right. But again, that became to be practicing outside of those areas, right? I couldn't just practice it while I was working. It was like, when I'm not working, guess what we're going to be practicing in here? We're going to be practicing some placement. We're going to be practicing a down right here next to me on the ground. Like, just all these little skills, but it built up to making to where it was like, it was super easy for her. Like, it became like, it's like, this dog has been such an easy transition to all kind of stages of life for me as we've gone through. And she was a fucking lunatic when I got her.
Yeah.
Like,
she's a black belt now. She's easy.
Yeah. And it's just like, it got easy as time, but it was like, it took the time, took just, again, it's like I worked from home. So I utilized every moment that I could to be training with her. And I understand like a lot of people they can't have that, but it's like you can find 5 minutes here and there to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, that's really
Especially
what
if
it
you work from
takes.
home.
Yeah. I wish there was an easier way around it, but the only way is like making that time. And like you pointed out, I was only doing it when I could do it. I'd love to have her on plays during a meeting, but she doesn't know it yet. And I can't say, hey, go back to your place if she breaks off a place because I'm in this important meeting. So, you know, you've got to be okay with, okay, right now I need to put her in her crate. So then this way she doesn't practice this behavior because then you're just going to be spinning your wheels the whole time. You're just in this hamster wheel of just, oh yeah, this is just the constant thing. But if you can bring it to yourself to compartmentalize, you're like, okay, she's going to be in her crate for an hour while I'm on this work meeting. And then I'm going to get her out. I'm going to be eating lunch and then I'm going to put her on place. The easy thing would just to be get her out of her crate and let Pull go around the house, or she gets out and she goes and lays on the floor, and we talk about this stuff all the time. Like your dog going and laying on the floor on their own accord is a lot different than you saying, hey, I need you to go lay down here, And so while you're eating lunch, it's like, this is an opportunity for me to practice place work. Hey, place, good girl, down, good girl. Now I'm eating my lunch for 20 minutes, and
she might get up. You can address
and you can be, hey, nope, let's go back on your bed, and so you've got 20 minutes of practice now. And then you're like, oh, I got to go back to my meeting. Poga, let's go. Great. But it's like you were you're just very consistent, what we talk about, right? You're just very consistent in like what your expectations are, how you're going to teach her these necessary skills. And it's just the effort seems like a lot at first, but the payoff is enormous, and it's
but it
not
also came
something
like practice skills outside, right? So it's like, oh yeah, I'm no longer working, but it's like I'm cooking dinner now. Guess what? We're practicing this again right here.
Yeah, it's just it's finding those little moments to practice those skills, because the easy thing is just to let your dog do whatever it is that they're doing. They might not even be doing anything bad. Like, I don't want to say the word bad, like it's just benign, it's Like if they're not chewing on stuff, they're just like walking around. Yeah, they lay it on the couch, they lay it on the floor, whatever. Like all of those things are totally fine, but it just your dog is the one making all of those choices.
Yeah.
And if you need them to do something at a certain time, which ultimately everybody does, like your dog can be, 6 days a week doing whatever and they're great, and then on a random Sunday, you got a friend coming over and you're like, hey, I don't want you to beg, so I need you to go lay down.
I don't need you to be on the couch.
Yeah, like I don't want you to be on the couch right now with my friends over, and they're like, well, no, I do this all the time, and you're trying to be like, hey, go to lay down on your bed, and their dog just gets up all the time or something. It's just because they've never practiced the skill in the off time,
Yeah.
and I always say it's like when you're training your dog, it's like 95% of the time, yeah, your dog is chill, but 5% of the time is when you need to get the thing that you want. And so in order to get what you want in that 5%, you got to train in the 95%.
Yep. Train it before you need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny, that just made me think about this thing. I saw this post about something, and it was about like, I think this actually was a person, like this dog was like barking at this person, and this person's like freaking out, obviously uncomfortable with the dog, right? It was like a doodle barking at him, and then I looked in the comments, and like these people are like, oh, if this person doesn't like my dog, you can get out of my house. If this person, my guest can't handle my dog being out walking around, like they ain't coming over. And it's just like, hold on. Why would just a random stranger be in your house that's going to make you feel that way? It's like if someone comes to your house, like you invited them over for a reason.
Yeah.
Why would you treat your guest like shit? Why would you invite them over in the first place, right? So it's like if I invite someone over and they're like, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of iffy about dogs. Guess what? And I invited you over, I'm going to be like, go lay down, or I'm going to put you in the crate, right? But it's like, again, people that make those kind of comments probably have absolutely no control over their dog. And so again, it's just like, this comes back to practicing in all these other times, so therefore you can get it when you need it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I'm going to have you go in the crate. I'm going to have you go on the bed. I'm going to show you that I have control of my dog, so you don't have to worry about the dog. So like, just like we had to mention about the dog being on the couch and you have guests over, it's like, guess what, Fido, I need you off the couch. And the dog's like, what? That's all I know is being on the couch. That's going to be problematic. What are you guys going to go do? Sit on the floor? Look out of here. No, I'm going to be like, I need you off the couch on the bed. On your bed. Go lay down.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is an absurd comment. Because even if your friend was like cool with your dog, like no matter what they were doing, it's like there's always going to be a moment in time where like that right there isn't acceptable right now. Like if you have a huge like 50, 60-pound dog and you're on the couch and the dog is just like constantly getting on the couch and like jumping all over them, you know what I mean? Like,
annoying.
You want me to be okay with, getting muddy paws on me, or you know what I mean? It's just like,
dude, like,
that's unreasonable.
Dude, think about how many dogs that we had of like family friends and childhood, family members' dogs that were like, they barked the shit out of you, and like big scary dogs like Rottweilers, big like husky like looking dogs that when you're like 7 years old, they're like massive to you, and they're like at your face barking at you, and it's like go over to their houses and stuff, and like these dogs, they make you feel uncomfortable, and it's like they have no control over them. They're just wandering around. And you're like,
yeah.
It's like, can you put that dog back outside? Oh, they're good inside. It's like, the dog's just staring at me, barking at me, like,
I feel like he's gonna bite my ass.
Yeah, dude. And
I think you got bit by one of them as a kid.
Yeah, and so it's like doing nothing, literally nothing. A little quick story time. This particular moment. One dog was a Rottweiler, and we're downstairs in the basement playing cards. All of a sudden, that dog comes down and just runs over, snatches my wrist. And I remember, like, our dad at the time, like, we were down there with him, and he fucking hit the dog in the nose. Dog let go and ran back upstairs.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Literally out of nowhere. Playing cards. And so, like, just Yeah, again, right? That dog, no one had any control over that dog, though. No one did. The dog was a liability.
Yeah, she was probably great just in the house with her owner and
Yeah,
her, you know,
exactly.
and then people take that information and just like, oh, she's good,
Good with everybody,
and then she's not.
But again, and that dog could have probably benefited from a lifestyle change, right? Gotten fulfilled. But what was that dog? That dog lived life like a cat.
Yeah,
I had a
yeah.
yard. I had the house move around in. It was good enough, but it wasn't.
All right, we got like 4 minutes left here. Want to just open up again, see if anyone has any questions before we before we wrap up for this Saturday. As always, hit the link in the bio to schedule a call. We can talk about your dog. If any of this sounds familiar, you're struggling to get your dog's energy out, that's, I have a high energy dog. Like you do. Every dog is high energy. So, unless you literally have like, I mean, even English bulldogs are high energy. So, I'd be hard pressed to find like a low energy dog unless they're like 10 years old
And overweight.
and overweight, So I'm pretty sure everybody probably has high energy dogs. We can teach you
Well,
how to channel that energy into something more effective. And again, it's not about adding more exercise. It's not about adding more training. It's not about going on longer walks. It's like what Shane talked about earlier in this live of you got to utilize the body and the mind. Like if you're only focusing on the physical, you're always going to be in the rat race. Like if you're going to just be on a hamster wheel and you're going to be conditioning a dog to require insane amounts of activity. But if you
yeah.
can learn how to do physical along with mental stillness, calmness practice, that's going to do wonders for your dog. It's like the difference between watching TikTok videos and reading a book. Like I'll do that shit at night, and for some reason I'm up for 45 minutes scrolling through funny videos, but the minute I pick up my book and I read 2-3 pages, I'm like, hey, this guy booked this car. Oh, cool. Yeah, nice. Looking forward to our
Awesome.
talk.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this is with the Vizsla.
Ah,
We
nice.
worked with we
Awesome.
worked with some Vizslas, Percy's,
Yeah.
high energy Vizsla.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be
Excellent.
looking forward to that.
I think I just want to try, so it's like even dogs that are chill, right? Like that are can be fairly relaxed, like, they have their moments of like, oh yeah, but they can be very chill. But it's like I think still one of the things is like you can mix like just because the dog is chill doesn't mean you don't need to have any kind of control.
Yeah.
Right? And so it just comes back down. It's like just training, right? Mix things in so you can create predictability, create predictability, create predictability. Um, I think that's just one of the biggest things. And that's her. She comes in hot.
Oh, you can see the comments?
Yeah, I can see him now.
Oh. Oh, that's cool. I don't think you could do that before.
No, I wasn't. I didn't able to see any of the comments before.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's cool.
So yeah,
Unless
like this one just came in. Uh,
yeah, that's Sarah. She's a client. Hey Sarah. They just finished their lessons yesterday.
all nice. I don't know,
Yep.
Sarah. Sarah, how were the lessons? Good.
She's coming into group class next month.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
It'll be great to have you there.
Well, it's 12 o'clock now, so we're going to wrap it up here. Again, book a call if you have any questions or, you need some help figuring out your dog. Like it's, dogs are complicated but simple at the same time, and it just like,
Nuances.
there's just
Nuance.
the nuances. And once you figure out the formula, the principles around it, and you got to work on those principles, it does get easier. I was having a conversation with a friend last night at dance, and it was like I do mostly salsa, but this night was all like bachata last night, and it's like I can do really well with bachata. Like I wouldn't say really well, but like I could show up and like do stuff in it because of this background in salsa, because it's like there's like principles that remain the same, like the stepping rhythms, and just like if you can be on a count, you can riff, and you can like uh experiment a little bit easier, so it's like I have this little fundamental foundation, and I can start to apply it in other things. And then she was also saying, like, she's a very experienced dancer, that like the more, like, when you have those sort of foundations and these things, it's like you can almost do any dance. Doesn't mean you're going to be like super good at it right away, but you can, like, oh, I know these patterns, I can like pick this up, and
Oh yeah,
I can definitely move better than I would if I like didn't have any sort of like structure. I didn't know anything about these.
definitely.
So
It kind of goes with languages too, you know.
it's all in
Learn
everything's the
Spanish.
same.
Yeah, because I was like, I remember when I was trying to learn Portuguese, and it's like so similar to Spanish, you know, like conjugations, even similarities in just like the word format, just how things go. It's just like, oh yeah, I can totally see it. Italian as well,
Totally.
A lot of parallels.
A lot of parallels. So learn the principles, and we can teach you those principles. Again, book a call. Link in the bio. So anyway, thank you to those who have joined us today. We are here every single Saturday at 11 a.m. So if you ever have questions, write them down, bring them to us. Even if it doesn't even pertain to this live, you can ask us questions. That's partly what this is. But if you have no questions, we're just going to talk. Okay. So, yeah, take a watch for the live. It'll be posted up here on Instagram, YouTube, and yeah, I think that's it for now. So we'll catch you all next Saturday.
Peace out.
Peace out. Enjoy the weekend.